Operation Flagship was an undercover sting organized by the United States Marshals Service that lured wanted fugitives with a fake giveaway. The authorities went to great lengths to make the event as humiliating as possible for the criminals, even going so far as compromising the sting's secrecy by leaving hints and hidden jokes in the promotion of the giveaway. Despite this, the operation was one of the most successful stings in law enforcement history, and probably the funniest. In the 1980s, the US Marshals Service conducted a series of operations known as the Fugitive Investigative Strike Team, or FIST, in an effort to capture wanted fugitives and presumably fist them. Catching these guys normally presents some issues. For one, they're on the run, so tracking them down can prove difficult. Also, some of them may be considered armed and dangerous. If they're expecting the law to come down on them at any minute, they may be well prepared, and a confrontation with them could pose a risk to arresting officers and civilian bystanders. To avoid these problems, FIST employed a clever tactic that still proves popular across the populace to this day: scamming. In a New York operation, fugitives were sent notices from a fake delivery company telling them to pick up valuable packages left in their name. They were arrested on arrival. Others were hit with the tried and true, "You have won the lottery, come and pick up your winnings." They were arrested on arrival. In Hartford, Connecticut, fugitives were lured with free tickets to a Boy George concert. They were karma chameleons on arrival. These operations led to the arrests of thousands of stupid fugitives. The so-called get something for nothing schemes were great because criminals love some things for no things, and they'd lead themselves into capture instead of having to be hunted down. It also meant their guard was down, and they usually came unarmed, meaning no one had to get hurt. The success of the FIST operations inspired the US Marshals Service to conduct a similar operation in a joint effort with the Metropolitan Police Department in Washington, D.C. in 1985. While pondering what devious plots they could deploy over dinner, two Washington marshals noticed the restaurant erupting into cheers over a televised football game featuring the Washington Redskins. At this point in time, support for the Redskins was rabid. The waiting list for season tickets stretched literal years. It should be noted that the Washington Redskins are now known as the Washington Commanders, because I guess at some point someone took umbrage with the fact that American sports teams are either animal, mythical figure, or minority ethnic group. Having decided that tickets for a Redskins game, specifically the highly anticipated December 15th game against the Cincinnati Bengals for the playoffs, would be a very tempting piece of bait, the Marshals and Metropolitan Police went about mailing invitations to the last known addresses of around 3,000 wanted fugitives. The invitations claimed to be from the fictitious company Flagship International Sports Television, and promised free tickets to the Redskins vs Bengals game as part of a promotion. Notice anything funny about the invitation? That acronym seems awfully familiar. This was just one of the hidden references authorities snuck into the ruse, seemingly for no other purpose than to amuse themselves. Over 100 people responded to the invites and were further mocked by little jokes hidden in follow-up communications. For instance, the supposed president of Flagship International signed his letters as I. Michael Detnaw, Detnaw being wanted spelled backwards. On the phone, the fugitives would be redirected to the company's business manager. While they waited, I thought the law played over the phone line. The business manager himself was named Marcus Cran, a reversal of the word narc. The fugitives were oblivious to these hints, as was the lawyer representing the local broadcaster for the Redskins and Bengals game, who issued a cease and desist order to Flagship International because the company didn't have a license to operate in the district. This was the end of the plan, and everything fell apart. No, I'm just kidding, the police don't let a thing like the law get in the way of enforcing the law. And so, on the 15th of December, they arrived at the Washington Convention Center early in the morning to set up a reception party for the ticket winners. The center was decorated with banners and balloons, and undercover police posed as janitors, hosts, stewards, valets, and even mascots. It might look silly, but they were all secretly armed beneath the costumes, meaning someone was liable to get shot by the San Diego Chicken. The invitation specified that the event would begin at 9 a.m, but some people were so excited they arrived an hour earlier. Let me tell you, these were some happy campers. These people were overjoyed about this whole thing, not fully understanding what this whole thing was. Here's a big biker fella trying to give one of the cheerleaders a kiss. God loves a trier. Of course, these cheerleaders were undercover cops and were tasked with discreetly frisking the attendees for weapons under the guise of physical affection. Recognizing the danger in trying to arrest a crowd of over 100 fugitives in one fell swoop, the authorities decided to call groups of 10 to 20 of them at a time into a separate room to listen to a few remarks from the host before being awarded their tickets. Of course, there were no tickets, and when the host uttered the signal word surprise, 25 members of the Special Operations Group stormed the auditorium in tactical gear, surrounded the fugitives and hauled them off in buses waiting outside before the next group was called in. This fella doesn't look like he's in the mood for kisses anymore. A total of 101 fugitives were arrested in the operation, which cost $22,000 to organise. Now, if you're an easily agitated taxpayer like me, you probably think that sounds like a lot of money, but it worked out at less than $220 per arrest. At the time, in 1985, the US Marshals Service typically spent an average of $1,295 per arrest. So really, this was a fairly cost-efficient method of arresting people, and no one even got hurt, which is usually what cost-efficient means. Operation Flagship has gone down as one of the most legendary and effective in law enforcement history. It was reported that the arrested individuals had between them 15 warrants for assault, 5 for robbery, 6 for burglary, 4 for escape, 19 for bond default or bail violation, 18 for narcotics violations, 59 for probation or parole violation, and 41 for a variety of charges from rape to arson to forgery. None were present for the Redskins' 27-24 victory over the Bengals. Well, if you enjoyed this video, I have many others for you to also enjoy, like the robbery where a man posing as a police officer convinced bank employees to hand over 300 million yen. If you'd like to see more of this stuff in the future, hit the subscribe button, because I release a new video every Friday. Until next week, stay safe.
Wanted to get me, you could have came to my house, man, and they know where I live at.